Hello, you're watching New Vision TV News with me, Raila. Today we look at our top stories. President Yoweri Museveni receives a birthday message from President Xi. Traditional healer BUJAGALI stuck in hospital with no funds to clear medical bills. Zanzibar registers traditional healers, and MUGABE gets low-key farewell in Zimbabwe home village. Britain's Supreme Court enters Brexit crisis. You're watching New Vision TV News. We broadcast from the New Vision newsroom. We take a look at the news around Uganda first. The African Union High Representative for Infrastructure Development, Raila Odinga, has called for unity among African leaders so as to develop the continent's infrastructure. Odinga voiced this while attending the Public-Private Partnership Conference in Kampala at Serena Hotel. He said, I quote, "Our countries increasingly recognize the importance of infrastructure and are actively exploring solutions to fund the required development." The president of Uganda, Yoweri Museveni, was also in attendance. He stated that there is need for infrastructure which is broadly social or economic to facilitate production and also delivery to the market. Before attending the forum this morning, Odinga was hosted at State House in Entebbe, and later this afternoon was hosted by the Uganda King Ronald Muwenda Mutebi after attending the forum. President Xi Jinping has sent a hearty birthday message to President Yoweri Museveni through a letter dated 15 September sent from China, listed how the relationship between the two countries is at its best. Jinping also stated his commitment to working with President Museveni, reminding him of last June's working visit he made to China, where the two leaders held cordial and friendly talks and jointly elevated the positioning of their bilateral relations. I quote, "I attached great importance to the development of China-Uganda relations. I wish to work with you, taking the implementation of the outcomes of the Beijing Summit of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation as an opportunity to further promote the comprehensive cooperative partnership of our two countries to a new height so as to benefit our two countries and people. I wish you great health and every success." Museveni on Sunday made 75 years. He sent out a tweet appreciating Ugandans and informing them how he spent the day at the farm in Chisozi, Gomba district, grazing his cattle. Let's now continue looking at more stories making news around Uganda. From Jinja district, the family of Nabamba BUJAGALI, a renowned traditional healer in Uganda, is stuck in a hospital without funds to clear medical bills that have accumulated to 7 million shillings, 317,400. BUJAGALI, aged 113 years, was admitted on September 1st, 2019 at Nile International Hospital in Walukuba, Masese Division in Jinja Town, then referred to Kamo Medical Center in Impumu de Chimaka Division in Jinja Municipality. BUJAGALI has been in a critical condition since admission. He cannot talk or move by himself and is currently feeding through a tube. According to Dr. Adrian Mulema, a medical director at Nile International Hospital, BUJAGALI is suffering from diabetes and bacterial infections in the blood. His left side is paralyzed. Mastula Lukowe Chonaza, BUJAGALI's wife, and their eldest daughter Betty Namande, who are nursing him in the hospital, say they are struggling as they have nothing yet because the patient is in a private hospital. The family appeals to all wishers to come to their rescue. News from the capital, Kampala. Youth MPs and Ebajo Adaka and Sarah Babidie, as well as the State Minister for Youth, Florence Nachiwala-Chinji, have asked the youth in the country to get interested in the Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference as major youth issues will be addressed. Adaka said CPC represents an opportunity for young people in Uganda to share their experiences with the world and to learn from other countries how they are solving many of the issues that that affect them. The 64th CPC will be hosted by the Uganda branch of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association from the 22nd to the 29th September 2019. Happening in Oyama District, Vision Group is Olu speaking 95.7 Radio RUPINY celebrating 10 years of dedicated educating and entertaining the people of northern Uganda. The Gulu Best Radio kicked off the week-long celebrations on Monday in Mitako in Oyama District. Musicians, dancers and comedians entertained thousands of die-hard listeners who turned up for the day. People stood in the scorching sun hours, others climbed on rooftops as they were entertained. They expressed happiness having seen their favorite artists.
We are very happy with the Radio RUPINY, 10 years for Radio RUPINY. So we are the people of Metasho, so we thank you a lot. Next.
Right man, fabulous, nyalongi fabulous and tiniti yo Metacho to kwero mwahapar, my Radio RUPINY and tiniti kanulongi Metacho. Amina kobango?
Kope.
Yiyom?
Yeah, yom.
Kaya mi ange kong tino pero ningo kong kantinini.
Closing news around Uganda is a story from Southwest, where local leaders in Mityana, Mubende and Kasanda districts have asked the government to return all Ugandans who are currently working in Asian countries. ZIMBABWE, the LC5 vice chairperson of Kasanda, made the call during a consultative meeting held at Enro Hotel in Mityana yesterday to discuss the matters of Ugandans who go to the Arab world to seek for employment. However, State Minister for Tourism Godfrey Chiwanda said the solution would be to ensure that their working conditions are improved. We now move on to news around the East African region. We start from Kenya, where the military will receive 6 new US-made light attack helicopter gunships as part of the initial order of 12 light attack and reconnaissance helicopters by December, a US manufacturer said recently. The planes are part of the $253 million, which is 25 billion shillings, arms deal that Nairobi signed with Washington, which got the United States Congress approval in May 2017. Still in Kenya, members of the African Council of Religious Leaders have called for quick implementation of the September 2018 revitalized peace agreement in South Sudan. The Council, in a joint statement issued after their meeting in Nairobi, say the agreement has reduced violence in a country where a humanitarian crisis has resulted in the deaths of thousands of people, with over 2 million displaced. A report from Rwanda. Ugandan and Rwandan delegations met Monday in a frank and cordial atmosphere in the Rwandan capital, Kigali, in a bid to warm ties between the two neighboring East African nations, muddled with recent flare-ups. Ugandan Foreign Affairs Minister Sam Kutesa said Uganda is all in on a peaceful and friendly coexistence with Rwanda. The meeting was the first of the ad hoc commission for the implementation of the Memorandum of Understanding between Uganda and Rwanda, as mandated by last month's Luanda summit. Closing of news around East Africa is a story from Tanzania. In Zanzibar region, traditional healers are being registered by authorities keen to regulate the practitioners who treat everything from depression to hernias. About 340 healers have been registered with their toolkits of herbs, holy scriptures and massages in accordance with the region's Traditional and Alternative Medicine Act passed in 2009. There are an estimated 2,000 more healers or mugangas hoping to register, said Hassan Kombo, the government registrar at the council that records them. In news around the world, from the continent, a South African envoy expressed the country's sincerest apologies to Nigeria after a wave of anti-migrant attacks swept through Johannesburg and surrounding cities in recent weeks, fueling diplomatic tensions. A meeting with Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari in the capital Abuja was held to convey President Cyril Ramaphosa's sincere apologies about the incident that has recently transpired in South Africa, the special envoy Jeff Radembe told reporters. The remains of former Zimbabwe President Robert Mugabe, who died on September 6th, arrived in his home village on Monday for a subdued farewell at a dusty sports field after a weekend state funeral with African leaders in the capital. Mugabe, who died aged 95 on a medical trip in Singapore, stayed in power for nearly 4 decades until a 2017 coup ended his increasingly autocratic rule. His death has left Zimbabwe deeply split over the legacy of a man once praised as an anti-colonial liberation icon, but whose regime was defined by brutal repression and economic chaos. He was given a state funeral on Saturday, but the return of Mugabe's body to his place of birth in northwest of the capital was a low-key event. In Tunisia, law professor and political outsider Kais Saied on Monday led Tunisia's presidential polls with 2/3 of the votes counted. The Electoral Commission said after the country's second free vote for head of state since the 2011 Arab Spring. Saied was on 18.9% ahead of imprisoned media magnate Nabil Karoui, who was on 15.5%, according to the Electoral Commission. Prime Minister Youssef Chahed, the presidential hopeful, whose popularity has been tarnished by a sluggish economy and the rising cost of living, could well turn out to be the election's biggest loser. Away from the African continent, Britain's Supreme Court began considering legal challenges Tuesday to Prime Minister Boris Johnson's controversial decision to suspend Parliament for over a month as the country's political crisis over Brexit intensifies. The court started hearing 3 days of arguments over Johnson's move to shatter or prorogue the House of Commons last week until October 14th, just 2 weeks before the country is scheduled to leave the European Union. The politically charged case, unprecedented in Britain, could lead to Parliament being recalled and Johnson's political hand severely weakened in the run-up to the October 31st departure date. Closing news around the world, disgraced Cardinal George Pell lodged an appeal against his child sex abuse convictions in Austria's High Court on Tuesday in a last-ditch effort to clear his name. Pell filed his application for leave to appeal just 1 day before the 28-day lodgement window closed, a court official in Canberra told AFP. It is the final avenue for the 78-year-old who is serving a 6-year sentence for sexually assaulting 2 choir boys in a Melbourne cathedral in the 1990s to get out of jail. That is it for news around the world. We now take a short break, but when we come back, we'll take a look at news in business.